Hello, Kim Woods. I am so excited to be talking to you today. Thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Sandy. I am so excited to talk about all things happiness.
Yes, 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 yes. And there's so many directions we can take this conversation in. And before we dive into, what you're doing today, I want to hear your story because it sounds like you really went through some stuff to get to where you are today. So tell me about that.
Oh, yes. The story, right? So it was a long, involved process filled with angst and worry and all the things opposite from happiness. But glad to know, everybody give them the bottom line, happy now, everything worked out. But at the time it was fraught, and it involves my son, who's now 21. And he was born with significant issues. And my intuition was just telling me that there was a different way to go about resolving his issues than the doctors were telling me or the therapists were telling me. And so I had to listen to my intuition, which, as a lot of people probably know, isn't the first thing you listen to. You read the data, you listen to the experts, you look externally for all the answers, and they weren't to be found. And so I finally, I think the universe finally clouded me over the head and said, listen to your intuition. And when I did, I ended up pursuing Eastern practices and Eastern methodologies and marrying them with Western technologies. And we came up with the kind of perfect formula, if you will, with these two things to help my son heal. And he's perfectly fine today. And he's a junior in college, and he is, defied all of the doctor's predictions, let's just say that, which was awesome.
Wow, that's incredible. And I, too, have a 21-year-old who's a junior in college. Was yours, was he born in 2000?
He was born in just at the beginning of 2001.
2001. Yes, so he'll be 22 in September. So he was born in 2000, but he's also he'll be going into his senior year of college. But I only have one. I see you have two kids.
Yes.
I can't even imagine because anybody who has children, we go through so much with the kids, and it's so hard, especially with people like you and me who are more empathic and more in touch with things that are going on around us. It's so hard to be able to separate that, cut the umbilical cord, and
absolutely.
Yeah.
And incredibly hard. And so the other difficult, right, opportunity, let's say opportunity.
Yes.
Right? So the other opportunity is that when I was pursuing all these Western methods, of course it changed my outlook on life. Of course I became really involved in having spirituality, intuition, the divine, whatever term you use, be a daily practice and have it be folded into daily routine and daily life. And so now you're bringing up children, not only, making sure they're physically developing and emotionally developing and mentally developing, but then spiritually. Yes. So you're adding another whole layer to it, which quite frankly, I think that's what really helped my son, because I could be, obviously we were doing all these, therapies and all these solutions and all this. We basically rewired his brain. I mean, let's just perfectly clear on that. So he was doing energetic healing, and he was doing acupuncture, and he was doing OT and PT and ST and basically everything. He had a huge appetite for healing. And it was easier, and yet took more finesse to talk to him at the higher level, right? At the level of, this is what your soul is looking to do, and operating from that perspective, as well as you're 7.
Yeah. And my son was introduced to a lot of the way I think at a very young age. And as a result, while he still is a typical college student who everything's dramatic and, he still is able to, at the end of the day, because I've worked on, focusing on gratitude so much with him, that at the end of the day, he's like, you know what? This is nothing.
I agree.
And he gets it. He gets it. He's like, yeah, it's upsetting. He goes, but when you calm down and you think about it, because we all go there. I mean, we're human. The first instinct, our first reaction is always going to be emotional.
Right.
But when he at least is able to dumb things down and be like, you know what? This is nothing in the big picture of life.
Absolutely. Yeah, it gives a whole different lens, which I really appreciated, because, it took 8 years for us to get to the point where I knew that we were over the developmental, we're only going to be solution skill building versus we're actually going to be able to seamlessly, hopefully, right, seamlessly overcome the issues that Nick had. And so that's a long time.
Yeah.
Right? That's a long time to have faith, to believe, to trust. And this is why the whole methodology was developed, and we can talk about that in a minute. But I mean, 8 years, that's a long time. And so for me to look at the perspective of, it's a soul, it's infinite, it's a soul, this is millennium in the making versus 8 years in the making, because he was 8 years old, that then put a perspective of, it's only 8 years. That's a drop in the bucket. It's not a big deal. We're fine.
Right. In the moment, it feels like a long time, right?
Yes, absolutely.
It's always, hindsight's 2020, right? And,
Right.
You can always look back and be like, oh, I mean, just like, I was just thinking, my gosh, I can't believe we're like almost at the end of June. Like, what happened to 2022?
Exactly.
Right? Just the past couple of years.
Exactly.
With everything that the world's been going through. And you're like, whoa, like things are just moving at the speed of light and you can't stop it. You just got to go with the flow.
You have to go with the flow. And I love what you said about, this is no big deal. This is a point in time, because that is definitely true, in that it feels as if you could be swept up with something. It feels as if, life can be bigger than you. And what I always say to people, when you take that intuitive lens, you get this purview of life that you look at it and you're observing it at a different level. And you're saying, oh, you know what? That's a mess. Not a big deal. There's got to be a solution. Ooh, this, didn't like that reaction. Okay, got to go clean that up. And then this is great. I can really be open to the lovely, and have gratitude and really want to open up this energy, because it is really positive for me. And it just gives you a whole different way of living, which is, quite frankly, for me and my clients and my family, life-changing.
Of course. Absolutely. So that's a good segue into, you went through all of that. Tell me about, and you're also in corporate America, and you've created some businesses. You're multiple business owner, right? Serial entrepreneur, I guess, if you will. So talk about how that had influence to the next phase of your life.
Oh, it was life-changing. I mean, honestly, it had 100% influence. So here I was living a parallel life at one point, right? Because I'm doing all this exploration, and anybody out there who's on the intuitive realm or energetic realm will know, like, oh, you took all the workshops, you did all the classes, you got all the certificates, you did all these things. And so you do that, and of course you're going to change, right? And then here I was at home doing all of these things, meditating and, being connected and doing all the vibrational healing and all these things, and then going to corporate America and leaving it all behind. It stopped making sense, because when I was dealing with my clients, I was clearly still doing those types of connections and coming from that purview and really honestly channeling wisdom to come up with like their business models or their solutions to their issues. And they'd call me oh, here comes our therapist, or, here comes our, psychology coach or something, of which I am neither, just to be perfectly clear. But because I could come with such empathy, and I could come with such connection, and I could come from a place of understanding. And so at one point, Sandy, it became untenable. At one point, it wasn't okay. Oh, Kim, leave the woo at the door. We just want your business brain. Because the reality was we were getting so much more than that. So I actually closed a very successful business strategy firm because I needed to. It was too easy to just keep making the money and having the connections and having the referrals and having the businesses walk in the door, because that's the point we had gotten to, versus, okay, I really want to lead with intuition. I really want to lead with for lack of a better word, the magic and the stars and all the things that I do. I closed the business down and I started a new business.
Wow. That took a lot of courage, a lot of guts, a lot of grit.
Cuckoo, I think, though, too. just a smidge of that. Just a smidge.
Sometimes, you know.
Honestly, Sandy, I couldn't find a way to, and I'm going to do a double negative, to not do that. Or maybe I don't have to not do that without closing it and saying, you know what, I'm stopping. Go find, someone else can do this, or you can do this yourself, or whatever. And I literally just started over and just said, if you want to work with me, you must do it this way. Any corporate leader or any business leader, or any entrepreneur who wants to work with me, we are going to be doing the magic.
Right. Well, and you know what? The right people are going to come to you for that reason.
It's been
right?
fascinating. So as much as I was shaky, I mean, think about this. You walk into a room, Zoom or otherwise, right? You walk into a room and you say, oh, I'm a business strategist and I have, 20 years experience, C-suite experience. People go, oh, great. And then everybody wants to talk to you. You walk into that same room and you say, oh, by the way, I'm an astrologer who happens to have 20 years or now it's 25 years of C-suite experience. Watch the faces, because they'll get like the hooded eyes. They kind of stand back a little bit. They're now, do I want to talk to her? Is she going to be so crazy? Is she going to, yeah. It took me, I know, right? It took me a hot minute to do that.
I'm sitting here laughing, and because I've been down that road many times. And I started a company, and it ended up, it was supposed to be a nonprofit, ended up never really taking it anywhere. Whole nother story. But it was Forgive for Peace. And it's a saying in a novel that I wrote. It was the number 4, give for peace, because if you're not feeling peace in your heart, there's someone or something you need to forgive 100% all the time. And people they'd look at me like, oh God, she's going to start preaching scripture to me. And I had to find a way to weave in like, okay, this has nothing to do with religion at all. This is a human condition that we need to learn how to forgive. But anyway, but I just remember all the faces like, oh gosh, just hold on, put your seatbelts on. Here we go, And I'm like, but people, because so many people associate certain things and they're just not opening up their mind. Now you're up in Boston, right?
I am.
I'm in DC.
Okay.
There are much more conservative areas, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And so the geographic location, I think, does play a part in that.
It does.
If you were in Arizona or California, people would be all over that. Right?
Absolutely. It was super kind for me to be able to go virtual. I had already been moving there because my kids were going to be in college, and my husband is a consultant, so he travels. So I thought, how could I? That was another reason why I closed the business, was how could I transition from a brick and mortar business where it was traditional consulting. You go to the corporations, you do your work there. If you have a deliverable, you do it in your office with your team, and you present it later. Right. And so I was not happy about that either, because I didn't want to be tied down when at the time, right, the world was traveling and we were moving. And so I thought, gee, I could do my work in New York or Arizona or California or wherever he is, and I'd have tremendous flexibility because the kids would be in college, and that would be great. So luckily, being a strategist and also intuitive, I had already set up this business model before COVID hit.
Nice. You're very lucky, because I think it really threw a lot of people for a loop but then of course we got so many people that started their businesses, and, all of a sudden we've got like all these coaches that,
right.
But let's talk about your intuition and development, because I want to, can you just explain that to the listeners about how you work with people on developing that intuition?
Yeah. So what we do, we start with our intuition first. I have a team now too. So we can be your intuitive voice until you develop yours, as we help you develop yours, because we don't want you to miss a step, right? So what we do is it's a very different model. I mean, clearly breath work, yoga, meditation, they're wonderful ways to connect, and that's always going to be part of the formula. But how many people do you know that say, oh yes, I would love to sit in, lotus position for 20 minutes and just be still, and my mind will cooperate fully, and I will meditate so I can develop my intuition? Really, almost none. If you're working with very high performing entrepreneurs or C-level business executives, that's a Hell no, right? So,
I mean, just to
can-
sit for 5 minutes for
Oh,
most,
for
because
one
I'm a
second.
high achiever. I'm a high achiever myself, and I do meditate,
Yeah.
and I studied meditation for many, many years, and it's something that I have to, sit and do, but I do it almost every single day.
Which good for you. I mean, that's amazing, right? So a lot of our clients can't or won't, and that's fine. So let's come up with a formula that can help people actually do it. That's more active. So what I did was I talked about knowing, liking, and trusting yourself. And the important part of that is it's taking that very traditional marketing and sales model that most people have heard of, that customers need to know, like, and trust you before they'll work with you. Well, I inverted it and I said, you need to know yourself, like yourself, and trust yourself. And then you become a magnet in the marketplace. You're satisfied in your life. You're self-aware and discovery. And, you can shine your brilliance, and literally the skies part, the sun shines, the birds start to sing. But it's for real, because if you are able to actively do some exercises and combine some silent moments, we can string those together for you so that you can, it's like a wooing. we're like dating, we're dating your intuition with you. And so that you can open up to it in ways that you have the small wins. And so when you have those small wins, you're more likely to do it. And we always match it with something that will be from a success performance in your life, either your life or your business.
Nice.
And that's another reason to go ahead and do it.
Love it. And you've got really great testimonials from previous clients. Very impressive media. I mean, you're a contributor for Entrepreneur Magazine? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's really, really incredible. And I'm like, wow, I'm actually talking to you right now. So that's really cool for me.
So can I just, shameless plug?
Please.
We got by Entrepreneur, we got named one of the top female entrepreneur disruptors of 2022.
Yep. I see that right now on your website.
Which that was a huge, I mean, talk about we're marrying intuition with strategy. We're doing the know, like, and trust method, which is a wildly inwardly reflecting model, and we're pairing it with leadership, and we get recognized at that level.
That's incredible. Like, pinch yourself. Like, is this real? Because it's incredible.
Absolutely.
Well, you actually have. I'm showing 3 books right now on your website.
Yes. So
yeah, talk about your books, because you've got they're all a little different, and then you also have your Oracle cards, which I'm all over. Love those.
Which you know what? We send a deck of Oracle cards to anybody I do an interview with. So.
Do you?
We do.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. So.
Thank you. I have so many decks of cards. There's so many decks. I love.
And these ones are really great to marry with other decks. They work really well for that. And they're beautiful as an entry point. But then this is what I'm really most happy about, because that deck was channeled. And we put that deck together. I want to say it was like 7 or 8 weeks between ideation and fulfillment, ready for distribution.
Wow. Now, the graphics on it, are those mandalas?
They are.
They're part of a mandala, and then you've got images in it. They're beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
But talk about your books, because I'm an author.
Okay,
my 3rd book's coming out next month.
Congratulations!
Thank you. So I want to hear about your books, all about calm, all about magic, and all about abundance. And then so wait a second.
Right, and then it doesn't make sense, because then there's a Heart Around Ankles book, right? So
Heart
what
Around
ends up
Ankles
happening?
book, right.
So the Heart Around Ankles book is the story of my dealings with Nick. And so I wrote that because I wanted parents to know that they weren't alone. And I also wanted them to know that there were alternative ways to be able to address issues that they may not be seeing. And it's a story. It's a story format.
Love it.
But there's a lot of tips in there. So that book was written before the other 3 books. But the All About Calm book was born because I was, as a business person, I present and do things. And at Nick's school, they had asked me, they knew what we had gone through, and they said, we want you to do speaking to other parents. And yet when I talked to their marketing people, they said, yeah, but we don't want you to talk about learning issues. And I said, okay, then what should we talk about then? Because no one wants me to talk about business. So where are we going? And again, I'm intuitive. So I said, okay, let me go think about it. And so anxiety, stress are issues. And so I said, okay, I'll talk about, how to achieve calm, and I'll do it in a way, I don't know how I'll do it, but I'll do it in some way. So again, I channel. So I channeled this. That book is based on a 1-hour speaking engagement.
Wow.
And so, and everybody went cuckoo over it. And then other schools and, other people wanted me to talk about it. So I thought, I was having so many conversations with people. I thought, I'm just going to, yes, and other authors will kill me. I'm just going to throw this book together and I'm just going to put it in form, and then people can have it and it will be fine. So I ended up just really organizing calm in ways that you could either take a really quick pause moment, you could take a few moments to settle down, or you could hit the reset button. And I came up with 10 tips, and that's that book. So it's a pretty,
love it.
Yeah, that came about pretty quickly. And then I was doing, okay, truth be told, here's full disclosure. It took me a while to come out of the spiritual closet.
Did it? Okay.
I meandered. I did. I meandered. And yeah, so I said, so I ended up teaching classes and charging almost no money and, just talking to friends. And I ended up putting together all of the All About Magic book, where it is a series of classes, as is the All About Abundance book. So what I ended up doing was I was saying, there's all these magical tools out there. They don't make any sense. When you step in on this path, it's overwhelming. So how can we, and this is a little audacious, how can we organize magic? Right. So I thought, well, to me, and this is where Know Like Trust started to come to be. To me, it's as a method. To me, it's like, well, what does your head think? Like, where are you thought wise and upper chakra wise? And then where are you heart wise and middle chakra wise? And then where are you like actually actuating in your world? So lower chakras. And so I organized the magic book around that. And then I realized, wait a minute, I'm onto something, but not quite the method yet. So I'm onto something. So I ended up applying, quote unquote, the magical tools to creating abundance. And that's what the All About Abundance book is about. And then, of course, the Know Like Trust method landed, and then we're off to the races.
Right. Because you've got this whole program that you offer. And so talk about that. Because I can't find it right.
Yeah, no worries.
But
no
you've
worries.
got like a whole trademarked
We do.
system.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. Whole system.
Yeah.
So if you come into the one-on-one container with us, I'm going to walk into the stars the minute you're born. I'm going to open your full potential, and I'm going to download healing codes and activation things and discovery methods and all the things. That's the one-on-one container. How do you then, and I have 7 other leaders now working with me, and so we can have some scalability to reach more people, but the reality is we don't have tremendous scalability. So I am a business consultant, so I will always be looking to how to scale. And I realized, well, wait a minute, we can develop program based on the Know Like Trust method and do discovery, where you can discover your purpose and you can discover your power and your prosperity and really open up your potential. And that's a live program that's once a week, and we deliver that in an hour, and everybody goes cuckoo over it. That's an introductory program for us. And then going further in, it's okay, everybody's unique, and people want to have success, right? Because this is a method for success. And so what is the criteria for that? Well, criteria for success, Sandy, I mean, what isn't it, right? So what we've done is we've formulated all these different modules that you can come into our world. And from a programmatic perspective, it's a hybrid model. You can do some self-guided, appetizing, how do you develop my intuition? Do I need to do some self-love or self-forgiveness? Or do I need to have actual business practical methods? And then we have live Q&As once a month that you can come in. It's like an office hour and we answer questions. But then we have our famous magic bars that everybody loves, that they come in and either I do it or the team does it, depending on your level. And we will do magic, and we will go into your Akashic records or go into your stars or go into your human design and really look at what's blocking you so that you can overcome that. Because you can learn every method in the world, but if you have a block, you're just going to be spinning around the same issue.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, without question. And I don't think a lot of people realize that that these energetic blocks are, if you don't know what you're doing and you don't have somebody to help you with it, they're there. They're stuck.
Right. And that's not unfortunate. Like you get frustrated and you get annoyed and then you try this method and then you try that method. And the reality is you probably start looking at, or if you haven't already, you start looking externally. And that's exactly the opposite of where you should be looking. You should be then going even deeper internally. So that's what we do.
So explain how somebody on the outside, because a lot of people don't understand how you can have a phone call with someone and they can enter your energy field and they can help you remove things. Can you explain that? Because I know I'm working with somebody right now. We've had 6 sessions so far and amazing.
Yeah.
Incredible. Right.
Yeah.
And it was funny because I saw a testimonial like, oh, I found the person. I was like, yeah, like I experienced that too. Right. With like when you find that person that just does it for you and it just starts to, whoo. Like I could never tell my husband, yeah, we talk on the phone and she's doing, he'd be like, yeah, right. How much did you pay for that? Like,
exactly.
What?
Well, so this is the good news is, Sandy, we're working on the business elements as well. So I love with our clients, I love that it's oh, by the way, we doubled income during COVID year. I mean, and you're a brick and mortar business. It's always oh, by the way, we've done this magical, prosperity creation for you because what we're focused on is your potential, your purpose, your power. But the reality is that's opening you up to be able to take advantage of more opportunities, to be able to accept support, to be able to build a business that is something that you've been dreaming about.
Right.
So how does it work? Okay. This is where faith comes in. It has to, right? So there has to be some willingness to be open because what I do know for sure is that you being the, person who's facilitating any healing, you can only be as open as the person is allowing you to be. And that's beautiful because you're not going to jar somebody because if they're not ready to have experienced something, they're not going to be able to experience it. So there is integrity with energy for people, right? But if somebody comes in and sits in front of me, they're open. They're open because they wouldn't have come into the Zoom room, right? So even at the sales call level, even at that first discovery call, Sandy, I cannot tell you how many people experience change because they've come into the sales call and I'm not doing the connection. I'm not reading energy unless somebody gives me permission to do it. I'm absolutely not doing it. Right. But just because of the connection, you have said yes in a way that you haven't said yes before. So think of the commitment of, okay, like I'm going to bite my nails. I'm doing this because we're on audio, right? Like I'm biting my nails like, okay, I want change. Of course I want change, dude. I want change, right? Like, right. So you do the waffling a little bit, right? And then you say, okay, wait, yes, I'm going to do this. So I'm going to say yes to myself. And when you come into our container, we are not inexpensive. We are niche, high level money. So you come in, so you're committing to yourself. So you're already open. Because you've said yes at a big level. And so even people on the discovery call that show up, I congratulate them sometimes because I just know that sitting in front, they're putting themselves in a vulnerable place because I'm going to be asking them questions about what their dream is and how they can be supported to achieve the dream. Yeah. And we're going to formulate the right process for them to do that. And so they're saying yes with the, okay, yes, here we go, right? And so if you're saying yes to somebody, you're already open. And when you're open, when somebody has the expertise, and I am going to use that word on purpose, because if somebody has your best interest at heart and they have no ego and they're going to be looking to see what is up with you, they're going to do it in a way that you're going to be able to receive it. Because there's just such integrity in that connection.
Right. Oh, beautifully explained. Beautifully explained. So I love everything that you're doing, and I wish we had more time. And these almost 30 minutes have passed by so fast. What else would you like to share with the audience before we finish up today?
I will tell you that answering the question, do I know, like, and trust myself is a really difficult question to answer, right? Yeah. So even if you're wildly self-aware, you're going to stumble over the liking or the trusting or some part of it. So we've developed a quiz. And it's a 12-question quiz that is, takes 5 minutes to take, and it will give you an avatar. So that around the avatars, we then do a lot of activities, whether on Insta or LinkedIn or Facebook, that will describe what's going on for you, maybe in this moment for the avatar, or how to be a leader, or how to use your power, or tomorrow, we're not live here. So, we're doing things on seasons, and we're doing things on star elements. And so that I would say to do. So it's at knowyourlifequiz.com. I would go ahead and take that quiz, and you will get information about yourself. You're going to get some, some beautiful tips. You're going to get some power I am statements. You're going to get a downloaded report. You're going to get some intentions for 2022. You're going to get tips on how to develop your intuition just for you. So that's what I would suggest people do if they're like, oh, I like the vibe of Sandy and Kim talking, but kind of splashed around a little bit. I'm not really sure. Go take the quiz.
So it's knowyourlifequiz.com.
Yes.
Okay. I will make sure that's in the show notes.
Excellent.
Kim, thank you so much. How can people find you?
KimWoods.com for for website. It's Kim Woods channel on Insta and on Facebook, and Kim E. Woods on LinkedIn.
Love it. Kim, thank you so much. This has been such a great conversation, and I wish you continued success.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Sandy.